to open the meeting at 9:15 a.m. and thank you for your attendance, councillors. If you would like a little bit more time, you're right. Okay, we'll get on to the agenda. As far as confirmation of the minutes from the ordinary meeting of the 28th of April, do we have a mover? Councillor Edwards.
I'd like to move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 28th of April 2021 be confirmed.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Was there any other minutes that we had to deal with? No? Okay. Righto. Well, we'll move on to item 12.1 tender 21024 rehabilitation of wastewater treatment ponds, Roma, Queensland 4455. So I've got some questions. Did we able to talk about them in open, or do we need to go into closed to ask those questions?
So I have circulated the information overnight.
Right, well, I'll have to adjourn to read that then. Okay, we'll just adjourn the meeting to read some information, and we'll be back. Okay, so we're starting again. Item 12.1, tender 21024, rehabilitation of wastewater treatment ponds, Roma, Queensland 4455. I move that we lay this on the table till later in the meeting. All those in favour? 9-0.
Later in the meeting.
Yeah, I'm going to read this in the meantime as it was suggested by a councillor, and if there's more questions then we'll deal with it again later in the meeting. Item 12.2, tender award construction waste transfer building of waste transfer building at Roma Waste Facility. Councillor McMullen.
Mr. Mayor, Deputy sitting in for this
Right,
one.
sure.
Mr Mayor, I would like, you're right, Kel? I would like to move that Council 1 select SM and KA Duff Builders Proprietary Limited as the recommended tenderer for tender 21026, construction of waste transfer building at Roma Waste Facility, and 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to enter into final negotiations with SM and KA Duff Builders Proprietary Limited, noting the tendered value of $1,486,762 inclusive of GST, and execute by the way of signing the contract if the final terms are acceptable.
Okay, well, we have Councillor Burkett was first as seconding. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? Any questions? Yep. Yeah, no. Obviously, I believe this motion would be beneficial to creating competitive local business and enhancing that. So I certainly will be supporting the resolution. Anyone else wish to speak? Please go ahead.
Mr Mayor, I'd just like to say great to see this project getting underway. It'll be a huge benefit to the Maranoa and the district for the first true way of recycling, separating all our waste at the tip with all the different new bays and that for all waste to be sorted before it goes to the face, or the tip, or wherever.
Okay, well, on that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Item 13.1, Bendemere Pony Club. Do we have a mover? Councillor, Councillor Burkett was actually first.
I'd I'd like to move that council, as trustee for the land described as lot 47 on WV 1371, grant approval for the Bendemere Pony Club to commence the process to connect electricity to the property in accordance with the terms of the trustee lease, subject to the Bendemere Pony Club obtaining written consent of the Minister of Department of Resources and that no costs be incurred by council.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor O'Neill. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? I certainly will. I think any help we can give to our community groups is very beneficial, and I wish them well, and it's great to see that they've got an increase in participation, which is really good for the Wheelbarrow area. Okay, so we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Item 16.1, installation of signage of intersections of McDowall Street. Councillor Edwards?
Personal interest in this matter.
Righto, please go ahead.
The item is 16.1, description, installation of signage on intersection of McDowall Street. The declaring councillor is Councillor Mark Edwards. Person with the interest is myself. Relationship category is, let's see.
Sorry, Councillor Edwards, it's your employer. Is
With
that
the
right?
interest. What was that, CDO?
Is it your employer?
Who's got the interest? Yes, yeah. Person with the, that would be employer, my employer. Want me to put the name there?
Yes. The entity.
Yeah, the entity, Leichhardt Group. LEI, sorry, LEICH, yep, that's it. Relationship is, I'm an employee of the Leichhardt Group. The particulars of the interest would be Leichhardt Group leases an office at 63 McDowall Street, Roma. Type of conflict would be it's a declarable conflict of interest, and it would be I wish to participate in discussion, decision making, and the other councillors will vote on that and any conditions.
Okay, do we have anyone that wants to move on that?
Anyone got anything?
What is it, 16.1? I can do it.
Councillor Taylor.
I got a piece of paper here. I believe that is in the public interest that Councillor Edwards participates and votes on agenda item 16.1 because a reasonable person would trust that the final decision was made in the public interest.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor McMullen, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? Go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. I'd also like to make just a declaration that we have a business in the vicinity. I don't believe it's any conflict in any way, because nothing to do with this report will affect in a positive or negative manner in any way, but I'm making that declaration for councillors' benefit if it can be noted in the minutes, please. Okay, do we have anyone that wishes to move anything?
I don't know if you can just do that, can you now?
I think you can note things in, we've had things noted in the minutes before. So it is not a conflict, I don't believe there's a conflict in any way.
Well, therefore you don't declare anything.
No, but I think there is a mechanism, whether I've used the right words, there's a mechanism to make everyone aware of it in the abundance of caution.
So there is such thing as section 150 EFP, personal interest in ordinary business matters of a local government, which makes things not an interest for which a declaration needs to be made. Subsection 3 says, however, if a councillor decides to voluntarily comply with this chapter in relation to personal interests of the council in the matter, the personal interests are taken to be a declarable conflict of interest.
So therefore it has to be what Councillor Edwards just did.
I thought we've had things noted before.
Before the legislation.
We have had noted things where, for instance, there'd been a previous declaration and we've subsequently identified that was previously not a requirement to declare, so we've fixed that. And I can think of 2 examples in the past where people have declared without realising, and then so to correct the matter of public record, we put in that statement. Yeah, so, but...
Like the statement I did the other day, whenever that was.
Yeah,
You
because
made
that...
a statement on something,
Yeah, when that matter was previously raised, Councillor Taylor thought that she
Yeah,
might have
before
had an
we-
Yeah.
interest, but as we delved into it a little bit more, we realised that it didn't actually affect her property. So that's why we sort of clarified that. And there was another one, I think Councillor Hancock, where you had declared, but when we delved into the detail,
needn't have had done it.
yeah, and so it would have caused confusion for the reader to say, well, why then and not now? So anyway, I just offer that.
Right.
It's up to you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with what I did. So, item 16.1, installation of signage on intersections of McDowall Street. Do we have a mover? Councillor McMullen.
Mayor, I'd like to move that a report be prepared for an upcoming council meeting.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor O'Neill. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to
I'll
it?
speak to Mr Mayor, please. I've asked for this report to come to council because I know in the photos I noticed that main roads have put up signs preventing articulated vehicles from turning left or right at the traffic lights. On many occasions over the last few years, transport's unloading at some of the shops in the side streets, predominantly was Arthur Street for IJ, now Hawthorn Street. When they're leaving Arthur Street and turning into McDowall Street, especially with the new traffic islands or the trees, I know the trees have just been trimmed, they have to go right over the wrong side of the road to get around the corner without running over any footpath, or whatever you like to call it. So that, I believe, is becoming a safety issue. And I just believe I think council have the authority to prevent articulated vehicles from travelling.
Sorry, Councillor McMullen, can I just, something else I should raise, just that the Mayor's aware of? Can I?
Yeah, fine.
So
Yeah,
if you
you're
don't-
right, yeah.
If you don't, sorry to interrupt, Councillor McMullen, but so finishing what we were saying, section 2A, in addition, this chapter does not apply in relation to a councillor's conflict of interest if the councillor, close associate or related party, or etc., stands to gain a benefit or suffer a loss in relation to the matter that is no greater than the benefit or loss that a significant proportion of persons in the local government area stands to gain or lose. So that, And then it goes on to say part 3, however, if a councillor decides to voluntarily comply with this chapter in relation to personal interests of the councillors in the matter, the personal interests are taken to be a declarable conflict of interest. So then when we go to the obligations of councillors with a declarable conflict of interest, then there's a certain process for dealing with that. So I just wondered whether we want to just lay it on the table for the moment, just to be.
And just one question to the deputy mayor. What size vehicles are you talking about?
Sorry. I just think we need to get some advice, Mr Mayor, because
Righto.
if you've triggered, we just need to make sure we're handling it right, because
Righto.
there's a process for a declarable.
Yeah.
So-
Councillor O'Neill?
Well, that's the point I was making before. Once you declare it, it then throws
deal
to
with
us. You either decide to leave the room or you throw it to the councillors to make the determination, right? Just as we did with Councillor Edwards. If the determination is you are conflicted, you can't ask that question.
Yeah, right, but I know the
So
legal,
the
but
question,
I'm happy to lay it on the table out of abundance of caution.
I think we,
We're going to have to deal with it later on then.
Yeah, well, we can find some more information.
if you don't mind,
Yeah,
Councillor
I'm
McMullen,
happy
I'd
to.
probably prefer.
I'll lay it on the table till later in the meeting. Oh, who was the seconder? Someone seconded.
Okay.
You
No, I
did.
seconded it, but you're moving a procedural motion, so you don't need to second.
Okay, we'll lay it on the table till further in the meeting, Mr
All
Mayor.
those in favour? All those against? 8-1 if I can call for a division. Okay, moving on. Item 16.2, Memorial Plaque, Roma, Saleyards, Vale, John Dearden. Councillor McMullen.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I'd like to move that a memorial plaque be placed at the Roma Saleyards in memory of John Dearden and his contribution as a member on the former Roma Bungle Showgrounds and Saleyards Board. And 2, I would like, I've started the process. I've got to council seek some information from his immediate family, if that makes.
Righto, is that a question or a
No, I'm
second?
happy to second it.
Second.
Yeah.
Councillor O'Neill, second. So is that correct on
Yeah,
the
that's-
screen to what
yeah,
you'd like?
yeah.
And it's the second, happy with that?
Yep.
I suppose, yeah, we probably should say, and there will other
Other community members.
yeah, other community
Other
members
community
will do, yeah,
members.
'cause I have
And former colleagues.
Yeah,
which is
Other community
yeah.
members.
Okay, mover and seconder happy.
Yeah.
Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I'd just like to add that before I put this on the agenda, I did speak with Peter, John's son. They're more than happy, and they're more than happy to help with any information that they may be able to provide. And I did make mention of former Councillor Ozzie Barron, and there's a couple of others that are still around that were in those early days as well. So.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Item 16.3, request for sponsorship, Roma Speedway. Do we have a mover? I would like to move that a report be prepared for an upcoming council meeting. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ladbrook. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? I'll speak to it. Certainly believe how council can help our community groups, and Roma Speedway has been putting a massive effort in bringing economic development to the region, as well as another sport that people love to see, and if council can help in some small way, that would be beneficial for the total community of the Maranoa. Okay, so no one else wish to speak. We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Item 16.4, safety concerns, Burrowes Street, Surat. I would like to move that a report be prepared for an upcoming council meeting. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Edwards,
Just a question.
please go ahead. Councillor Hancock.
Well, I believe the correct terminology would be Carnarvon Highway, because it's actually Carnarvon Highway that corner is the problem of. So yes, it is Burrowes Street, but it's actually the highway which then brings the TMR into it.
Yeah, I'm fully aware, but are those two streets right, Cordelia and Burrowes, or is it wrong streets?
Well, I'd probably ask Deputy Director Cam. I don't know, because it is Burrowes and Cordelia Street, but it's actually also the Carnarvon Highway.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. It just depends. That obviously the state government would refer to it as Carnarvon Highway. It happens everywhere where you've got duplication of Quinton Street and Warrior Highway and that sort of thing. So, but there is an active resolution in the books for this matter that we have been pursuing with the department. But I just wondering, is there any new information on this, or is it just sort of bringing it, making sure
It's actually
Well, I can answer that question.
underway.
Yeah, so what I'm putting forward here is that we actually take a different approach, and we know it's a TMR road, but we've been waiting years for something to happen. I've been approached from residents about something needs to happen, so I think we need to take the step of that we should do a design up for that road and say to Main Roads, we want to do the works on that corner because it's so important to our community. So even though it's your road, because that really does get people standing up and saying, so you want to fix our road? And it's because it's a safety issue. We've got a lot of expertise in being able to do that, and we obviously work with TMR anyway. So what I'm putting forward here is a different approach. Instead of waiting, that the dangerousness of that corner is so important that we should go on the front foot and say, look, this is what we want to do to your corner, and we will look at funding it if you won't give us the funding, because we need that, like the rumble strips, the safety done on that corner. Because I think I've been talking about it since I have been here and nothing has happened because it's a TMR road. So what I'm saying is get on the front foot from the community's point of view, and this would give direction that officers could go away and come up with a report to come back to council with what we would be suggesting and look at doing. And then all we would obviously need is TMR approval to do that. Yeah. Anybody else got any questions?
Could you just allow
Yeah, sure.
the deputy to
Yeah, no, you're
to
right.
speak?
Yeah. I'm aware that Main Roads have progressed that design quite considerably to the point where we've had input into it, and it's I think one of the main issues now is a funding constraint. Without preempting what this report might say, the black spot program's currently opened for nominations, and this site would be a great black spot application because there has been accidents there and that sort of thing. So it could be something that the report outlines it. I don't actually think it's the design that's the hold-up. I think it's well progressed, and that it's actually now just the funding required to implement the solution. So, but anyway, that's fine.
Yeah, no, thank you for that.
Could we suggest that the focus of the report be
An update.
how to, about the funding side?
Well, I'd like to see the council, and you've obviously, as an officer, maybe had some input into see what that design is like.
Correct.
So I don't mind whose design it is. Really, the community has said they want this fixed, and we need to go on a different approach. Of course, it would be better to get funding for it, but we can't wait. So it could be quick funding or whatever. So it's just really broad about the design, and also come back and we get a report back for council to decide whether they want to fund it, put it to black spot, do whatever. It's just urgent meeting with it, you know. Okay, any other questions, councillors?
Probably just a comment, Mr Mayor, because I was at the same meeting you were the other night. The other thing I think for the Stratton District Development Association, they're just wondering what's happening. So just a bit of an update on, because they're aware that council's working with TMR with this project, and they just haven't heard anything. SDDA have actually written to TMR themselves as well. So they're just wanting a bit of an update of where the project's up to.
Yep, understood. And we've even talked to the SDDA about writing to TMR. Like, we've got to be a bit careful here that it is a TMR control road who are responsible for the design. So whilst there might be some information that's provided to council, it's sort of not for us to then go and start to provide that to the community for input, because it is a TMR managed thing. But understood, yeah. But what I'm picking up is there's just I want to work out how to expedite the on-ground delivery of this in whatever means that looks like. So, yep.
So just clarifying that second point is what was said is that they haven't been able to be briefed on because it might be confidential, and that's why at the back of that, if I've got where possible. So if you can't, then we come back and say we can't. If you can, the point was raised that they sort of felt that they couldn't be briefed on all of it, and they'd like maybe a confidential briefing or something. So I realise there's issues there you've got to deal with to be able to get that back. But the first part is about, it's so important to the community that we just, and if the design's there, that's great, but it's about, and I spoke to the Director General of Transport and Main Roads, and I'm sure he would be very happy if we initiated something to help one of his roads. So, it would all be by agreement and all of that, and it would also have to have the approval of council once we get this report back, so however we do it. Okay, so I think I've moved it. Do we have a second?
Councillor Edwards was second, I think.
Edwards? Yep. We've got those down?
Yep.
Okay, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0.
What are we going to now, the late open?
No, I haven't had a chance to read it yet. So we could go closed. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, item C1, tender award.
There we go. Are we going,
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions about this tender?
Hang on,
we on the C1?
C1, we're going to,
Don't have to. If you want to ask questions, we will go into tender. I think that's into close, sorry.
Are we in closed?
No.
We're not enclosed.
but do we have any questions to go into closed, or does any councillor wish to go into closed about this?
I guess the question too is does the officers have anything more to tell us? Would be a question.
Yeah, that's a good point. Does the officers wish to go into closed with this?
Through you, Mr Mayor, probably nothing specifically. It's anything that's in there is outlined in the report. I'm happy to give just a couple of seconds that's appropriate for open, but this is just a project that council's approved to Asphalt overlay Queen Street. We would see that Queen Street's been one that we've been keeping a close eye on, and it is deteriorating quite quickly. It's, as I said in the report, outside of McDowall Street, Bungle Street, Hawthorn Street, it's probably one of our highest used roads. Queen Street provides the spine to the schools and the residential areas in that part of town. So it's one of these ones that it's important to make sure we intervene at a stage early enough that it's not going to create big interruptions. We did look at options about delivering this during night, similar to Hawthorn Street, but the higher percentage of residential properties makes sort of a day works a better arrangement, because night works can be quite interruptive to people trying to sleep and that. So it will be delivered during the day, but the plan will be to make sure there's a fair bit of media, a fair few VMS boards out to give people enough warning, and that, but
Guttering too, don't they?
yeah, so you'd
All the
see
guttering there.
see a bit of work on the guttering. That's just to, obviously, there is some low spots in the gutter, so the idea there is instead of locking in the asphalt to the existing gutter, we fix that low spot first, and then the asphalt will tie into that new gutter. So that's all in aid of. So and yeah, the tender summary or the tender summaries in the report and that. So.
Okay, so no one wishes to go into closed in any way, so we'll deal with the issue then.
Just, Mr Mayor, I won't, the section that's going to be done, is that allowed to be, it's not in the,
So it's in the executive summary there.
I realise that, but it's not in the resolution, so.
Okay then, yep. Yeah, there's no issue. It's the approved scope from council there. So
Well, I thought if we were allowed to put that in there, it would give people the clarity to where we're doing, what part of Queen Street.
So,
But if we can't, yeah.
no, there's no issues at all. Like that's the scope we're bound to. That's the scope we went out to tender. So if you were to do that, I'd probably just recommend at the end of dot point number 1. There,
Between the
Kel,
two streets.
at the end of the word stage 1, it could just say between McDowall Street and Malawi
That's
Street.
right.
Okay,
Oh.
council.
Sorry, Mr.
Yeah,
Mayor.
sure.
I will say, like, this will be a little bit of an interruption to people, but
Yeah.
it's just one of these things that needs to be done. We'll manage that Queen Street has one lane open at all times. It's just sort of the best we can. But if we start to try and keep intersections opened while we're building past them, we'll end up with a less superior product. Whereas if we can close it, there will be intersections that will need to be closed just while they build that. So, but
So the question on that, can we get really good signage about this will be shut to one lane? Please think about other routes or something, because there's lots of routes and side streets, and get people really thinking about it rather before, 2 weeks before or something.
And that's, I work with our communications team to sort of outline that like, I think we just need to be honest with the community that there will be an interruption. So if they can help us out and think of alternative routes, that would be very beneficial. So we'll make sure that messaging's in the media release a couple of weeks prior to starting work, so that people can make any sort of adjustments that they need to. So
What about the VMS boards and stuff like that? Because to me, that's got more value to have those boards warning people, please look, you'll only have one lane a couple of weeks before.
correct, Mr. Mayor. I've got in the project management plan to put them out 2 weeks in advance, and same too with our media release, so that people have that advance warning to, as I said, to think about alternative routes. Because you are right, it's very grid system there, so whilst it might seem a big inconvenience, there's a lot of roads there that if people just rethink their approach, they'll be able to get through there quite easily. So.
And the other question is, because peak hour is only 15 minutes in Roma, is there an opportunity to work with whoever the contractor is to say, like for instance, that roundabout in Queen Street or whatever, is there a way to allow, not necessarily open it all up, but I'm just saying, is there a way to think about, you've only got 2 peak hours in some way or whatever?
It's definitely something we'll talk about, Mr. Mayor, because whilst it seems that the contractors just want to sort of get into it and close the road, it's in their best interest too to clear that traffic. If it is a short period, just get the traffic out of there, and then so they can focus. So a short 15-minute stand down actually might save them half an hour of trying to get people through over a half an hour period. So there's actually a lot of benefit for the contractor just sometimes to stand down if they're able to have a quick smoko or something, and then hook into it, because they don't want to hold the traffic up, because it's only then takes them time to clear that traffic out of their job site. So
Yeah, that's it. Okay, any other questions? Okay, did we have a mover? Yeah,
I'll move.
Councillor McMullen.
Mr Mayor, I'll move that Council 1 select Burrowes Resources, Queensland Proprietary Limited as the recommended tenderer for tender award asphalt overlay of Queen Street, Roma Stage 1 between McDowall Street and Malawi Street. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or Delegate to enter into the final negotiations with Burrowes Resources, Queensland Proprietary Limited, noting the tendered value of $771,899.65, inclusive of GST, and execute the contract if the final terms are acceptable. 3, delegate authority to the Chief Executive Officer, noting that this will be sub-delegated to the nominated Superintendent for Council to order variations within the approved project budget to deliver the approved scope of work, noting the schedule of rates noting the schedule of rates, nature of the contract and the potential quantity variability associated with the asphalt surfacing process.
We have a seconder, Councillor Guthrie. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Okay, if we can break for morning tea. Okay, we'll start at 10:31. 11:31, I should say. Righto, so what, we better do some conflicts first. Better do the conflicts.
What item are you going to?
Where are we going to?
Well,
Got 16.1 and
yeah,
12.1.
so 16.1. Conflicts, and then we'll keep going with the agenda.
We were doing the
So are you calling 16.1 and then you're declaring an interest and then we're dealing with 16.1? Is that what?
Well, I suppose that's really how we need to do it, I suppose.
Page 48.
48.
Okay, 16.1. I'm going to make a declaration that the personal interest, which I don't believe I have, is to self, about moving down to that the potential gain, benefit or loss for me or my close associated related party, donor or is no greater than the benefit or loss than a significant proportion of persons in the local government area stands to gain or lose in relation to the business Golders on the corner of McDowall and Arthur Street, company name McDowall Street Properties or McDowall Street Traders, trading as Golders. And I wish to participate in the discussions and the decision making on 16.1. So then it's up to council. Councillor Taylor.
I'd like to move that it is in the public interest that Councillor Golder participates and votes on agenda item 16.1 because a reasonable person would trust that the final decision is made in the public interest.
We have a seconder, Councillor McMullen. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. I'll also declare another.
No.
We'll go on with the item then, won't we?
Okay. Righto, 16.1. We had a mover, didn't we?
The
Seconder.
And you were you started talking, Councillor.
Yeah.
I'd just like to add that, as in the report, when articulated vehicles are turning these corners, they're crossing to the wrong side of the road. They have to cross the wrong side of the road to get around the corners without running over any infrastructure. So I believe it's the best interest of everyone if we direct them to cross McDowall Street and go to other intersections, which to turn left or right. And as I said earlier, in the photos, there's the example of the sign that, excuse me, TMR have put up in Quinton Street for vehicles approaching the lights from either way. They haven't, whilst I didn't see a truck do it this morning, they're not meant to turn the corner, so you'll probably get a ticket off the lights, but that was my take on it. That's why no one disadvantaged, but I've never seen anyone park a truck in the main street to unload it. They always use the side street. So.
Okay. Does anyone else wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0.
30.
Yep.
Are we going to do the other line on the table?
12.1.
30, page 30.
That was the tender.
It's a tender.
I haven't had a chance to read that yet, so we might, that information we got in, might do, we've got that one done.
Agenda now, Mr Mayor, either the late agenda or the closed.
Late order was quite confusing.
No, we haven't done the late.
Has everyone read the late open?
What do we call the late open?
Yeah. Okay, L1, sponsorship request 2022 Outback Queensland Masters. Do we have any questions? Would I like to move that council consider proposing a counter offer to Golf Australia for the amount of $5,000 in support of the Outback Golf Masters event to be held in Roma on 25-26 June 2022. Consider an allocation of $5,000 in the 2021-22 sponsorship budget for Outback Golf Masters event to be held in Roma on the 25th to the 26th of June 2022. I'm just wondering, to the manager, could we put in kind in there as well?
I think it'd be wise, Mr Mayor. Yeah, we did in 2019, gave the golf club $10,000 in kind. It was the golf club,
Yeah.
but we did incorporate in the same resolution an in kind component. The other thing I'd like to add, Mr Mayor, is that item 1, the consider proposing, could we alter that to propose?
Yeah, good.
And then I don't know what you want to do with number 2, that was consider or allocate.
Right, and I'll put point 3 in, a separate point for allocate $10,000 for in-kind assistance to Roma Golf Club, supported this national event.
Is it national or just Queensland?
It's national, it can come from anywhere. Director Rob, are you happy with point 3? Does that make sense?
Yes, it's technically it's both right. Well, you can have a Queensland, anyone can come, I suppose.
You?
They're not making a Queensland
Mayor Golder,
sign.
would you put in there about acknowledging once again the sponsorship in all forms of media?
Yeah, happy to have that in there. You wish to second it on that basis?
Yes.
We have a seconder? No other comments from officers? No other comments? Okay, righto, we've got a mover and a seconder. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? Certainly do. I certainly believe that, part of this is a clinic, so we can certainly benefit people of the Maranoa as well as the economic benefit that can happen with these sorts of things. So we certainly need to be supportive and really see if we can get more people playing golf and coming to the Maranoa. Righto. So does anyone else wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0.
CEO, you got my email last night?
Yes.
I move we lay, L2, Roma District Junior Rugby League Carnival request for support. I'd like to move we lay this on the table till later in the meeting. All those in favour?
Why?
For more information? All those in favour?
I don't understand.
All those against?
Only because I
Six-
don't understand why.
6-3. Well, when you get the more information, you may understand. Thank you. 6-3. If I can call for a division. Moving on to L.
Sorry, is there some more information you need to go away?
No, but there will be some more information coming before I think council needs to decide this. And we've got some declarations on this one too, haven't we? So they'll be done as well. Righto, moving on to L3. L3, tender 21021, register of pre-qualified suppliers for vegetation management services. So I just got a question on to the manager of procurement. So with this is obviously an update of a panel.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's an expansion of a number of suppliers on panel refresh.
Yep. Have we got many people that has many dropped off, or are we missing any?
No, we just didn't have a lot on the original.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And quite often officers are
L
going
three.
outside the panel.
Yep.
So, that's the reason why I extended it.
Right.
And now we've got, quite a few on the panel,
Righto.
a lot more choice.
Yep. Any other questions, councillors?
I was just gonna ask, the Madam CEO, but maybe, Deputy CEO Rob, sorry, my question's in my mind. This is an open report, so it's in open. So do we have to actually read all those people, or can we just say as per listed in the table?
Same as you do for the town planning ones.
Yeah, that's
councillors, it's in
right.
The report's in the open, so.
That's what
it's listed.
I just wanted to make sure that was right.
No other questions? Righto, we'll keep going. Do we have a mover?
It's open.
I'm happy to move.
Yeah, councillor Hancock.
That one, council approved the addition of the following businesses listed in the report to council's register of pre-qualified suppliers for vegetation management services, including grounds maintenance, in accordance with S232 of the Local Government Regulation 2012. 2, pre-qualification for the mentioned businesses remain current until 31 March 2022. 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to enter into a deed of agreement with each selected tenderer for vegetation management services, formalising the terms and conditions detailed in the draft agreement.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Taylor. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. L4, annual review of appointment of the position of the Deputy Mayor. I'd like to move that Council note its annual review and no further action is required. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Guthrie. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it?
I've got no opposition, I just want to speak.
Please go ahead.
Through you, Mayor, I think this is in a incredibly unorthodox process. I'll take some carriage of how odd this is because I supported the resolution at the first meeting last year. The Act is clear. We elect a Deputy Mayor at the first meeting after a general election. We've done that. I don't believe that this should be coming back on an annual basis. If the position of Deputy Mayor became vacant, then we deal with it. Or other impending circumstances that may lead council to move, what has been suggested in here as option 2. But I can't see, for the life of me, a circumstance where that would be presented. Councillor McMullen has been elected Deputy Mayor with a 9-0 vote. I believe that position is for the entire term of which he has been elected a councillor. And I think we should be moving today to remove that this is considered on an annual basis because we've made our decision as who's to act as the deputy in this term of council, and that's Councillor McMullen through until this term finishes in 2024.
Okay, well, I'll speak. I certainly disagree with those thoughts. Council made a decision. I think it was pretty unanimous. This is just a formality, but if council did want to change, it did have the opportunity, and that's why I certainly believe in supporting this. I always allow the opportunity if someone wants to bring a rescission motion, they can do that in the future, but I think there is no change, and that's why I've moved that. And I think we should just be getting on with the meeting. Does anyone else wish to speak?
So does that mean it's coming back next year?
Well, that is unless we have a rescission motion, that will be. But that, it's a one-liner that happens.
We don't.
No.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
I think that we need to seek further legal advice as to whether the motion that was moved 12 months ago in fact contravenes the Local Government Act in suggesting that this is an appointment done on a review basis on an annual at an annual date. I'm not comfortable with this, and I think it's upon us to make sure that legally this stacks up.
So, I don't see there's any problem with getting legal advice on that. But anyway, Councillor Hancock.
I'm just a bit confused. I didn't think the role as Deputy Mayor was under a performance review, which would be the only reason why we would be looking at it annually if we're performance reviewing our Deputy Mayor. The legislation's clear with me too that it's actually for the term of council, and I think our Deputy Mayor, unless he decides that he doesn't want the job, is Deputy Mayor for the term of council. Do we performance review our Deputy Mayor, Mr. Mayor?
Well, I think, Councillor Hancock, you're putting words into people's mouths that are not there. Where does it say it's a performance review?
Well, then why would we be looking at it annually if we're not performance reviewing the performance?
Councillors can make a decision on what they do with the Deputy Mayor's position. It was decided in line with the Local Government Act on that time frame, but council decided at the time for an extra piece in that puzzle. I know of other councils that have looked at Deputy Mayor doing it for so long and someone else doing it for another time. So if we're getting legal advice, we need to get legal advice. Did we comply with the Act? and the extra thing that is in there, whether that still is okay. So there's two pieces to that. Did we comply with the Act, and could we have an extra wording in there which has happened? And I think we're blowing up something that there's nothing to see here into something else, and I don't think there's no mention in any motion or anything about a performance review. That definitely has come from you, Councillor Hancock.
And I am entitled to ask a question, Mr Mayor.
You certainly are.
That's right, so I'm not putting any words in anyone's mouth, I'm just asking the question
I cannot
myself.
see where in any of the resolution it had anything to do with performance review.
Well, the reason I'm asking is that why would we annually then be looking at it if I don't have anything to be judging it against?
Well,
Like, why
that
wouldn't
was
it
a
just be for the
motion of
term?
council that it would be reviewed every 12 months or something similar to that, and there is no mention of a performance review. And yeah, does anyone else wish to?
Through you, Mr
Yeah.
Mayor. What's the Deputy Mayor think? Can he give us his opinion?
I'm happy with the job, but I was reading, the way I read section 165, the council do have the right to remove me if they wanted to.
Declare it vacant.
Well, declare it vacant, yeah, but they've got to give 14 days notice.
So there's no difference to what we're doing anyway.
Well, yes, because if someone wanted to remove me, I'm saying, I know what the resolution said 12 months ago, but they would have to put it in 14 days before
There's a process to,
Okay.
in essence,
I
there's a
think-
process to follow to declare it vacant.
In looking back from 12 months ago, I guess the intention was, the resolution is not what wasn't the intention, I guess. The intention was like, you can do it 12 months, or any time, but yeah, I just guess it's the way the resolution was put up, yeah, and we all voted for it.
Which is to your point.
That's the point I'm making.
So we're just trying to fix that going into the future.
If you're allowing discussion, this is unorthodox. It's never been done in Maranoa Regional Council's history, and I don't believe it was done in, to the best of my knowledge, Roma Town Council, and I can't speak for the other councils. You elect a deputy mayor for the term of the council, and it's not reviewed annually.
Okay, does anyone want to speak to the motion or against the motion?
How do we get the legal advice? Because that's not in the motion at the moment.
Well, I'll move a procedural motion that this lays on the table until the next ordinary meeting of council when we've got that legal advice.
Okay, all those in favour? 9-0. L5, Festival of Small Halls 2021. Good morning. Do we have anything to add there, or did you want to say anything, or you're happy as the report is? Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor, or do you have a question?
I do just have a question for Manager Kim. It doesn't say where it'll be. Last time it was at Yulba, Jackson. So is that normal, or will it be somewhere different next time?
Through Mr Mayor, so what generally happens with festivals of small halls is we go out to the community and the community put in applications to host. So last year we held only one, and previous years we actually held two.
Oh, okay.
So it just really depends on the community group who wish to submit an application.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we have a mover? Councillor, Councillor Hancock was first.
That's fine.
That Council 1 agreed to host the Festival of Small Halls Winter and Summer 2021 tour in the Maranoa at a total cost of $3,000. 2, allocate funds in the 21-22 budget deliberations from the Regional Arts Development Fund RADF budget GL 2885.2250.2001 of up to $3,000. 3, that Council authorise the Chief Executive Officer to sign the performance agreement when received.
Okay, we have a second, Councillor Taylor. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it?
Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Question.
We got a question. Councillor Lavelle.
I just wondered, with those communities, how are they notified? Are they all notified about, applications and that?
We do a media release calling communities to come forward for their application.
So just by wireless or email? think that's efficient, enough?
There's also Facebook posts as well,
Okay.
so we go through the corporate comms team and they organise all the media. Do you have a suggestion?
I just wondered with, you know, some of these communities, older communities and whatever, you know, they wouldn't be into that sort of stuff.
They
Well,
also
Jack's-
go through our local development officers who put it out to all their networks, through all
Okay.
their emails as well as face-to-face, you know, when they go to
Yeah.
meetings and informing the community
Okay.
via
Yeah,
those
yeah.
methods as well.
Yeah,
We
thank
do have the fresh.
you. Yeah.
Please go ahead.
I'd just like to help Kim. Kim's probably your second festival of small halls, I think. Anyway, there is a criteria for hosting a festival of small halls. You must have a small hall. So not every community does have the ability to apply to that. And we've been doing this, I think, I've been here 12 years, I think, probably all of that time. It shifts around the region according to whichever community wants to respond to it. Sometimes we get a great response, sometimes not. But however, we do saturate the community, they well and truly know about it. So I think you'll find our process is quite inclusive.
Thank you.
Okay, so does the mover wish to speak to it?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just want to acknowledge that the Festival of Small Halls is a great series of tours that come through the Maranoa and have done for many, many years. It provides opportunities for our community groups to be involved with this wonderful tour and to raise some much needed funds for their organisation. And it provides a great source of arts and culture to our community. And our community really do love going out and supporting the Festival of Small Halls. So I wholeheartedly support the Festival of Small Halls tour.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? We're going to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. L6, request to copy the Karen Knight muddy parchments. Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move that Council 1 permits Bringa Action Group to reproduce the Karen Knight muddy parchments for the purpose of displaying the copies of the Karen Knight muddy parchments in the main street of Mitchell. To agree to the Bringa Action Group covering the cost of reproduction of the artwork.
Yeah, we had Councillor Edwards first. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? Councillor Burkett?
Yes, Mr Mayor, this has been brought up the last 3 or 4 Bringa Action Group meetings, and one lady in particular will be very happy with this because she's been pushing it for a while. So I think it is great. It'll fill in a few of the vacant shop windows during the tourist season. Also very informative in pushing Kenneth Brothers' history. So that's something that's going to be good, beneficial for the community.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Okay, moving on to the next one. L7?
Yeah.
L7, proposed amendment to resolution OM/10.2020/99. Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that council amend resolution number OM 10.2020/99 from that council 1 engage TSBE to achieve 1.2, 1.4, 1.5 and 2, noting that the value of the marketing support ID2 is for $7,250 of the proposal as described in this report during the current financial year. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to sign the agreement as attached to the officer's report. 2, that Council 1 engage TSBE to achieve 1.2, 1.4, 1.5 and 2, noting that the value of the marketing support ID2 is for $7,250 of the proposal as described in this report during the 2020-21 and 2021-22 financial years. And 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer CEO to sign the agreement as attached to the officer's report.
Just if we can hear just a brief overview of really what the change is. as far as the timing?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for the question. It's a good question. So council resolved to do this last year, to engage into this, I think it was in Q2 of last year. So, and of course, during that, the lead up to this, we have been putting together a project with Southwest Regional Organisation of Councils. It's the Investment Attraction Program. And a lot of the work that we're proposing to do with TSBE is around that, so that we didn't have a conflict with the Southwest Rock Initiative and what we're proposing to do with TSBE. We've waited till the Southwest Rock proposal was put to bed, and so we've lost about 6 months. So it was either a pro rata of our commitment to this for the balance of the year, which would only give us 3 months to implement something that takes 12 months. We've negotiated now to run across this financial year and the next financial year with the same proposal, billed on a quarterly basis. So council did say that you are interested to see what we were proposing to do and how we were going to achieve what we were proposing to achieve, with some KPIs and dates associated with it. This proposal allows us to do that, but run across 2 financial years. That's the explanation for it.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Taylor, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? 7-2 on call for division. L8, Historical Grain Shed, Roma. I'd like to move that council approve urgent negotiations regarding to saving an historical grain shed located in Station Street, Roma. In regards, and there will be some correspondence, I don't think it's come in yet, but I've been contacted about the fact that they want to remove the building, and it's urgent negotiations I'm putting forward is to be able to secure the land at the correct price, so we could secure the building and land for the community, and certainly believe, for instance, Roma Historical Precincts Incorporated would have some interest, but it's also would be an event space, so it would be about trying to get the land at the correct the correct rate to make it worthwhile, because if they give up their lease, they have to remove the building, and it's got major significant values as far as heritage, and would be in a good event space.
So, just a question, so who is it exactly?
Yeah, who owns it?
So the land is owned by Queensland Rail, the building is Grain Corp, but and it was in the days when all grain was bagged, and it was before bulk, but Grain Corp still have the lease on the land. So the historical grain shed building that's next to the butter factory in Station Street would be the building that we could secure, and then, whether it's Historical Precincts or someone else, could be used and restored as an event space. So basically this is about, and we've had some good success with another opportunity where we did buy some land at the right price. So it could be an opportunity to be able to buy that land and then have the building with, it's really stopping the building being destroyed.
So Queensland Rail own the land.
Own the land.
Who owns the shed?
Grain Co or Grain Corp.
So are they going to give you,
Yeah,
the shed?
yeah, they will, because they're looking at actually having to wipe it clear to give the land back as part of the lease. So if they don't have to do that, it's a benefit to them. But it's also, it hinges on being able to buy the land for a reasonable amount of money.
Do you have any idea how much
No,
it's
but
worth?
this would authorise the officers to be able to go and have those conversations. Any other questions?
I was just going to say that, explain how it works for the new councillors here.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a seconder. Any opposition?
Sorry,
Councillor Edwards, did you have a question?
I was just going to move to lay this on the table till the later in this meeting, because you reference correspondence. I haven't received that correspondence.
No,
No,
it's
well,
still
I'm not
coming.
sure that's come in, but it basically is saying that they want to knock it down and get rid of it. But obviously, I've spoken to someone in head office at GrainCorp,
Right.
rang me.
So they're writing to us, they haven't,
They haven't done it yet,
oh, I see.
but they're planning to
Oh,
do
well,
it,
Is this,
and they want to know. Yeah, and so this would authorise the officers to come back with an amount and a report.
I'm not moving a procedural motion then, because it doesn't exist.
But as soon as I get the letter, I will share it to all councillors. Yeah, no other questions? We have a mover and a seconder. Does anyone wish to speak? Anyone opposed? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. LC1, Transport Network Strategic Investment Tool, Transit Web.
So we're going to do
Yeah,
the same
go.
as what we did before, just if
We
there's
gotta-
any questions.
Go into closed, or?
Oh, do you want it? Yeah,
Which we would have to do conflicts of interest before we went into close.
yeah,
we
but
missed
does
it.
anyone have any questions on this one?
That's what I'm going to ask. Can we
Yeah,
do it the
there's-
same as we did before?
Does anyone have any questions on this?
what are we're looking at?
So,
LC1.
if
Oh,
the
okay,
Deputy
so-
Director would like to give a quick overview.
Well, if that's the case, we've got to go into close.
But we didn't do that on that. That's why I'm confused.
No, we just went straight ahead, we didn't.
Yeah, that's on.
Is there any
Because there was no
information?
discussion.
Is there any
He's
information
still
that at a
spoken
high
that
level
time too.
we could give without it, or is it all confidential?
Report.
No, the reason it's confidential is just because of the proposed contract with the state, but the overall, with the federal government, the overall intent, it's there in the report. It's,
Very simple, isn't it?
yeah, I think this is a really good opportunity. Very, very powerful tool, this thing that only fairly new. If we wait and delay, it's going to be a lot potentially more expensive in the future on an annual subscription basis and that sort of thing. So,
Does anyone have any wish to go into closed about this item? Nope, righto, we'll keep going then. LC1, Transport Network Strategic Investment Tool, Transit Web Access Subscription. Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that Council 1 enter into a platform subscription agreement with the Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organisation, CSIRO, to access the web-based Transport Network Strategic Investment Tool and to continue to work with the CSIRO on providing the additional forestry commodity information to help refine the current model data in the web-based Transport Network Strategic Investment Tool.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
Yeah.
Yes, councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it?
I've just got a question.
Just a question, Mr
Please go
Mayor,
ahead.
but we're
Here you
just.
go. Ask the question.
Is the fact that the subscription amount is not in the resolution is because it's obviously confidential?
correct, yeah. So it's just a part of the confidential agreement with the federal government there. So.
Sorry,
Okay.
thanks, Mr Mayor.
Righto, so does anyone wish to speak to it? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Okay, so LC2. I would like to declare a conflict of interest in this matter on LC2. Conflict is with myself. That I have a declarable conflict of interest because of a complaint to the OAI in relation to LC2. And I will be dealing with this declarable conflict of interest that I do not wish to participate in discussions and decision making. And I will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. Okay, do we ever have any others?
Did we end up doing that lining one?
Mr Mayor, I've got a conflict when Kel's ready. Yeah, the person of interest is myself. Particulars of interest. It's a declarable conflict. The conflict is, as of the 10th of February 2021, I'm being investigated by the Office of the Independent Assessor for allegations of reprisal against the CEO of the Maranoa Regional Council, so I will be dealing with this by leaving the room whilst the agenda item is being discussed and voted on.
Okay, any other conflicts, councillors? Righto. Okay, so I will.
What happens is that you've got to go into close first? Or before
Yeah, you got to leave.
Oh, before, yeah, okay, yeah.
Madam CEO, in lieu of a chair, I'd like to move a motion that Councillor John Burkett chairs the meeting.
Not yet. Not yet. We're not enclosed yet.
And like, in lieu of a chair, we have to have someone chair the meeting, so
That's,
you normally call for a seconder.
Sorry, you're looking to me.
you
But
have to
there's-
do it. So in lieu of no chair, you have to do it. Councillor Hancock's moved that a motion, then you need a seconder.
Excuse me,
I'm
Madam
just-
CEO, can you just, while you're advising them in relation to that,
I'm not sure I'm the best person to
It puts it awkward for you.
chair that part of it.
Excuse me, Madam CEO. Would it be possible before the mayor and the deputy mayor left the room, could they have advised us on the protocol here, on what's supposed to happen?
I think you've got to advise, you might be able to speak on that, councillor.
No, I can't. No, I'm just wondering if they're supposed to put something in motion.
I thought
before
that
we
you had
leave.
sought some advice about it.
No.
No?
I can answer that, Councillor Edwards.
Yeah.
I can't. And the reason I can't is because when the mayor's in the room, he chairs the meeting. When the mayor's out of the room, the deputy mayor chairs the meeting. When the deputy mayor's out of the room, we've got to elect an acting chair. They can't participate in that because if they're participating, they're still in the room. And so therefore the issue's redundant.
Yeah, well, I don't really agree with that.
I think we just
But
probably.
that's actually how it is done.
Yeah, I don't think
Sorry,
it is.
I do need to, and again, I feel uncomfortable because I'm probably not the
Yeah.
best person to be doing this. Could we just adjourn and get the deputy CEO to sit in for this part? Because he's also been privy to the advice that was sought about this particular matter last time it happened, so.
Okay.
And Julie, can I just query too, so we're now, this particular agenda item
Yeah.
is recognising retrospectively that last week we actually did the quarterly report?
No, we ended up with a big, we only started it, councillor, and we realised the only way to progress it was for me to bring it to the council table. So that's to address the concerns that was raised before. So I'm formally tabling it now because we're at a little bit of an impasse about what to do, and this is the only way I could work out how to navigate it.
So my question is, why did we do last week if we had to wait for a resolution?
Well, I thought that we could do it the way that we did, but that didn't seem to be appropriate. So we're a satisfactory outcome for all. So I'm bringing it to council formally today, and I think that's more than appropriate. And that's probably all I need to say for this matter. I'll go get the Deputy CEO to sit in on this part for me. But could we adjourn to allow him?
No one to
I'm not sure we.
We haven't got a chair to adjourn.
That's why.
Okay.
Councillor Edwards, can I ask if you're confident that what has been proposed is incorrect? Can you share with the meeting why? Because, and I say this respectfully, in my time as a councillor, this has happened somewhere between half a dozen and dozen times, and the way that it has been done in the past. Sorry, yes, we are. The way we've done it in the past is how we've done it the last two times, which was about how it was happening here. What advice have you received for you to be able to confidently say that it's incorrect?
No, I'm not saying it's incorrect. I'm just saying that in my opinion, and I'm sort of putting this out there, is that even though they're removed from they're supposed to go out of the room under a conflict of interest, prior to going out, because of the protocol, associated with, meetings and that sort of stuff, isn't it possible to suggest that maybe they've got to put something in place before they leave? That's what I'm asking in the room, Is it possible that they, because we're in this situation now, and we were last time too, shouldn't something else have occurred? Or, shouldn't we get advice on it, legal advice on it, as to how it should be done?
Oh, sorry, I just thought the CEO said that you've received advice.
No, I have received some advice, but it doesn't really clear the whole thing as far as this is concerned. It doesn't clean this up, right? It doesn't clean this up at all. I'm asking the question, what happens before the mayor and the deputy mayor leave the room? Is it possible that they can do something about the meeting procedure? That's all, or put us in the right direction.
So my understanding is they can't, because for the reason I just shared, when they're in the room under the Act, they have the authority to govern, right? So they should stay in the room. Because they've got a conflict, they have to leave the room, and then it's upon us in the Act for the remaining councillors to determine who will act as a chair in the mayor and deputy mayor's absence.
Okay, well that's what you're saying.
That's it. It's prescribed in the Act.
Just one question.
We need legal advice on it.
I'll just ask a question too. Like when the mayor has a conflict, no matter what conflict, and he always says, "Oh, deputy, you come up." That's what I think you're saying. And then when the deputy's got one, I think you were asking that he can say to someone, "Well, Councillor O'Neill, can you?" So when it gets to that
No, it
stage
can't.
down, they
No,
gotta vote.
because in the Act it says that the remaining councillors, in the absence of the mayor and deputy mayor, they determine who chairs the meeting in their absence.
What section's that of the Act?
Oh.
Well, this is what I want to know.
Mark?
What section of the local government?
I've taken it upon myself to read the Act.
Yeah.
We've all got to do it. I can't tell you what provision it is, but having done this, as I said, either 6 to 12 times over the last 10 years, that's how it's been done.
Can I just ask?
Well, I just think we're at an impasse here. I just think we need to, can we lay this on the table? Well, we need a chairperson. Can we lay it on the table until we sort it out? That's
But
what.
can I just ask then,
what I
in
think
saying that, can at some other point in time, not today, obviously, because they're both out of the room, but when we have a full council, are we allowed to then nominate
a deputy?
deputy?
No.
No, okay. not a deputy as such, but you
No.
know, if they're out of the room, then somebody else can,
Well,
No.
okay, not really, because how do you know who's got conflicts around the table until at the time?
That's right.
Yeah, well, that's true too.
Bloody conflict.
Yeah. Rob must have left.
Sorry?
I said Rob must have left.
Yeah, he might have left down.
Who's that? Rob?
Rob, no.
I think we just need someone to chair the meeting, that's all. You know,
Well, I
to-
did nominate someone to chair the meeting.
But we don't have.
No, we don't have,
We don't have
we
anybody
don't
here
have
to
someone,
oversee the process.
we don't have someone up there.
What did we, I can't.
Yeah, so
I'll-
the
I'll do
deputy
that.
CEO oversaw the process in his position as deputy E CEO.
That's right. And he's not here, so.
He took over the last time when we were in Yulba or wherever, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's quite normal.
But I just queried, as I said, we actually did the process last week, and now we're seeking to retrospectively have a recommendation that gets passed as a resolution. It just seems like it's a backward step. It should have been passed previous to doing the presentation of the quarterly report.
We're in the wrong way.
Yeah, it is the wrong way.
It's pretty bad we can't even pause.
What's that?
We can't even adjourn to relax, let me head in.
Yeah, that's right, councillor Bergen.
And it's interesting because even the Local Government Act regulation that's given is wrong. It's different to the one that's actually in the Local Government Act. 254.
J3B.
254 in the Local Government Act, J, is closed meetings, page 192, so it's got nothing to do with... Sorry? 254, J, closed meetings.
Just go to that. Go to that.
Sorry? 192?
Yeah. You can hit on it.
Yeah, there you go, roll through it. Not gonna do that one. It's actually about how to run closed meetings, one. 254J3.
Engine's copping a hammer.
Did you get any
What, with rain?
last night?
Jackson.
Did Mitchell get any rain last night? John,
That's all right.
did Mitchell get any rain last night?
No.
Okay, 254J. It's about closed meetings. It's got nothing to
J,
do with...
number 3.
There's no, number 3 is local government or a committee of local government may make a resolution about a local government meeting. It's got nothing to do with industrial. But it doesn't say here that we've got to have quarterly.
But didn't we say it in her performance review?
Which is why I did the section 170 to say, is the contract we follow, or is it the document that we did last year?
I thought it had to be.
So why didn't we do quarterlies last year?
I don't know. Well, we only did the actual thing in November.
But there was one that was actually off. There was one under consideration, wasn't there?
Yeah, from yeah.
Yeah.
thought you must have been asleep under a tree or something.
So Rob, is it correct that you help us out just?
Yeah, just
I've-
this for this
I've-
moment there. So basically, councillors, it's happened twice now. We've had, it's fairly unusual. You have the mayor and your deputy mayor out of the room at the same time. When that's the case, you choose from within your number someone to fill the role of chair. Probably 6 weeks ago, I think we had the matter come up before. Department just contacted me as the acting chair for that portion of the meeting and said, look, can we get a copy of your standing orders? Just want a bit of clarity around how you guys choose your deputy chair. I said, well, look, we had an occasion, it came up at your bar and we had it recently here in Roma. I spoke to Damon, sent him the stuff. He emailed me back probably the next day, a couple of days later, and just said, yeah, look, your standing orders don't actually specify how you do it. Basically just says your councillors choose, from within their number, someone to take the chair. He said, you can spell it out, make it even clearer if you want in your standing orders, but it basically says you guys choose, someone nominates, and then you take a vote on it. And it's majority rules, and that's what local government's about. So you might have someone nominate, and you might have a seconder, but the rest of the group may not want that person to chair. So, and that's the way local government works. It's majority rules. So, and you go back and forth until you have a chair. Damon did say, whilst your standing orders are silent on it, he said, providing the mayor and deputy mayor aren't debating the issue at hand, they can actually stay in the room to choose the actual chair and deputy chair, was what he said in his email.
They can vote on who gets.
They can vote on who will be the chair, he said, because they're not actually voting on the issue at hand. They're only voting on who is actually taking
I think we need legal advice on that, Rob, because
So,
that's unorthodox.
Yeah. End of the day, in this instance, councillors, it's you probably can take some advice on that. That was the advice from the department in the email from Damon, but certainly if you want to get advice on that, I don't think it changes the outcome today because obviously it just means you've got two more people voting on the matter. But
Sorry, just on that, are they allowed to vote? Are they allowed to nominate?
he wasn't clear on that. So following on from Councillor Neal's comment then, you might want to get some legal advice on that. It doesn't really change the matter for the day. End of the day, if you've got someone willing to, I can call for...
Well, I've put forward a nomination. I've nominated Councillor Burkett.
Well, probably, look, I just for process there, I can probably through, because you don't have a chair, I can call, I say, are there any nominations there? And then you can go through that process if you want. As I said, the advice from Damon was, he said that your deputy mayor and your mayor could participate in that, but I'm hearing from council you want to get, that's from the department, you might want to get legal advice on it. So for the sake of being absolutely 100% sure, maybe we just go like we did last time, because your standing orders just say you choose from within your number, and we can deal with it that way. Again, it doesn't really change, at the end of the day, your numbers. So.
Deputy CEO Rob. So you're going to chair that now?
I can call for a nomination if you want the councillors, and someone can nominate, and then and go. And at the end of the day, it comes down to the numbers and the majority rules. So who the remaining councillors want.
You'll go through the procedure as though like any chair would.
Yeah. Well, I just determine to call it, and you'll have a seconder, and then you can take a vote on and vote for and against. And at the end of the day, it's the majority rules. The number of councillors who you wish is who you choose. So, but Damon did say, he said, look, your standing orders just say you choose within your number, and you would just follow a normal council procedure. And so it doesn't have to be overly difficult. So
it'd be interesting to get that information.
Yeah,
not immediately now.
Not yet. For future ones, yeah.
Yeah, it would be.
I don't think it changes the outcome of today's meeting on who you have. It just means you get two more voting on the matter. But but I think you probably would be better off getting legal advice on that. It won't really change things for today. So go through. At least we know if we do it with who's in the meeting here at the moment, then you know you're definitely right. We'll get that further advice, councillors. I said we've got it from the department, but we can get the legal advice on it. But yeah, certainly the initial stuff back from the department was your mayor and deputy mayor. They're not voting on the matter at hand. They're just simply voting on who the chair is. So, but
So I'd like to second that motion.
Just a few councillors. Obviously, we've got a vacancy in the chair at the moment. I'd like to call for nomination to chair. So, Councillor Hancock did have a hand up first, but
I'd like to nominate Councillor Burkett to chair the meeting in the absence of Mayor and the
Do
Deputy.
you have a seconder for that?
Second that.
Councillor Taylor. So the nomination is for Councillor Burkett to fill the position of chair. Those in favour?
No, wait a minute.
Oh, sorry, any questions?
Excuse me.
Correct, yeah.
You're going to have people talk for and against it?
If you wish, do you wish to speak?
Ask, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, if you like, yeah. Councillor Hancock, you moved the motion. Do you wish to speak to the motion?
Sure. I believe that it seems the last time we started going, around the table to give the new councillors an opportunity to have a turn at chairing the meeting. And on that basis, that's why I've nominated Councillor Burkett for today to give another councillor an opportunity to chair the meeting in the absence of the Deputy and the Mayor.
Okay, yeah, any other councillors wish to?
I'll vote against that. Talk against that.
Sure.
No disrespect to my fellow councillor, but I would be moving. Moving
Yeah, a different person in
moving
mind, yeah.
against that. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Or speaking against it. Sorry. Yeah.
Is there anyone else wish to speak
I'm
for
happy
or
to
against the
speak.
motion? Yeah.
In line of what Councillor Hancock has proposed in terms of giving each councillor, the experience of chairing a council meeting, that is in fact in line with the small number of times that it occurred in the last two terms. We did share it around the councillors to give each the experience, and I don't see why we'd have to do anything different today. So I'm fully supportive of the nomination of Councillor Burkett to fulfil the chair's role for what may be a long session or a short session. I don't know, but I'm more than happy to support it.
Is there any other councillors wish to speak?
I'd like to sum up, Mr Mayor.
just check
Mr
it.
Mayor, I'd like to sum up.
Well, that made it real easy, didn't
Deputy
it?
CEO.
No, just before you do, is no one else got a
No.
comment? Is it okay? Councillor Hancock.
I'd actually like to point out that the reason I nominated Councillor Burkett, other than the fact that, I believe that, let's share it around the table so we all get the experience, is that Councillor Burkett has demonstrated in many times that he has been involved in many organisations where he's been involved in chairing meetings, and so I actually wholeheartedly believe that he can very efficiently chair this meeting and lead us through this next session on LC2, and that's why I've nominated him.
Okay, there's no more comments there. So the nomination was for Councillor Burkett. Those in favour? 1, 2, 3, 5. Those against? Okay, 5-1. Councillor Burkett, you're it.
You can't. I'm sorry. You can't abstain.
Oh, sorry. I
So
didn't
you
vote for myself.
yeah. Well, or you abstaining is a vote against.
Oh,
so
we'll go again.
just so we're clear.
Okay, we'll call that again. Those for? Okay, those against? Okay, Councillor Burkett, would you like to take the chair?
Yes.
Still in open, Councillor Burkett.
Can you just work the time so the pay goes? Money. Jeez, big chair too.
We nearly fell off the chair. A little fella for
I
me.
fill your chair. Okay, moving on to LC2, presentation of quarterly report to council priorities for chief executive officer.
We're still in. Are we
Oh, yeah,
still in
we're just
open?
getting to that.
Yeah, can I have someone to move into closed? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that in accordance with the provisions of Section 254J3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, a local government may resolve to close a meeting to the public to discuss confidential items that its councillors or members consider it necessary to close the meeting, and there'll be. Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
And we've all got that. Yep.
Could you
Can I
scroll
get
up a bit?
Seconder. Councillor Ladbrook. Thanks, Dean.
You better put it, John. Put the motion.
Oh, sorry. All those in favour? I've got to remember how many there is. 6, 7. Item number LC2, presentation of quarterly report to council priorities for chief executive officer. Can I have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I move the council receive and note the officer's report as presented.
Seconder. Councillor Taylor. Any opposition? Anyone want to speak to the motion? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? 7-0. We'll just adjourn the meeting briefly.
Righto. So, which one was first? Okay.
12.1, I think.
12.1. Page
30, I think it was.
30, thank you. 12.1, tender 21024, rehabilitation of wastewater treatment ponds, Roma, Queensland 4455. I'd like to move, I'd like to move that we lay this on the table for, to a future meeting, to receive extra information as requested. We'll go to the vote. All those
Sorry, extra information is requested today, at
today
today's, at
and
today's meeting.
at today's meeting,
Yep.
and that councillors might email through.
And any subsequent queries.
Yep. Okay. We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 9-0. Okay, moving on to, is it L2? L2, Roma and District Junior League Rugby League Carnival request for support. I'd like to declare a declare that I have the person with the personal interest is myself, and I'm declaring a conflict of interest as the president of Roma and District Junior Soccer Association, as Roma and District Junior Soccer is mentioned in the report. And the declarable conflict of interest, I do not wish to participate in discussions and decision making, and I will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. Okay, Councillor Burkett.
I also have a conflict with L2 in the open agenda, Roma District Junior Rugby League request for support. I have a conflict that is on the president. Oh, I've got to go through that list, sorry. Phil. Declaring council as myself, person with interest on the president of, do I put that in there or just say myself again, same as what?
That's fine.
Yep.
Yeah. Particulars of interest on the president of the Mitchell District Junior Rugby League, which in turn means I form part of the executive of the Roma District Junior Rugby League. So it's a prescribed type of, I think, prescribed conflict of interest. And I will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Any other conflicts?
Is it prescribed or not?
I wasn't listening. Sorry.
It's orange, isn't it?
Yeah, it's prescribed. Any other conflicts? Okay, I'll leave the room and ask the Deputy Mayor to take over. And CEO, I think these were for all the councillors. You know that, right?
Oh.
Give them copies.
Okay, the Mayor and Councillor Burgett have left the room. So L2, excuse me, Roma and District Junior Rugby League Carnival request for support. What was this?
Are we laying it on the
This
table?
was,
No.
No.
oh, we're not, okay,
Yeah, we've checked councillors, that
time
there is
critical.
time pressure.
okay, righto, so,
I rang it yesterday, they said to me yesterday they needed it tonight, and I just rang again, they said no, definitely need it today.
okay, so any questions or
Well, do we have information?
Councillor O'Neill?
I'm happy to move when we get to that point.
Oh, I've got a question.
So, you want a question, Councillor Hancock, sorry? Yeah.
Yeah, through you, Chair. to Director Rob. Just with the in-kind, I don't have a problem with it, but do we actually physically, Riggers Road is, are we closing Riggers Road? And so therefore, I know it's a car park, but are we actually closing that road? So therefore, what about the in-kind of actually closing that road, and does the staff have to come back at night to reopen that road? I'm just wondering about that in-kind. So they don't close that? So from the car park, they close that, they leave actually that road around open?
Yeah, so down to the car parking, you duck hole there.
Yep.
And then we close off at the end of the garden bed there, and same as food truck Friday, and then they go to there.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
And as you know, the bridge is closed anyway, so.
Yeah, yeah. And that means that the committee can just open that road back up at the end. It doesn't mean our staff needs to go back out and reopen it. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? We had a, Councillor O'Neill was going.
I'll move the council approves the use of the bottom car park of the Big Rig Parklands from 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday, the 29th of June 2021 for the Roma and District Junior Rugby League Association Incorporated Street Party. Approve the use of the bottom car park of the Big Rig Parklands on the conditions that A, car parking for the event attendees be on McDowall Street and that this be advertised and signposted. B, all food and beverage vendors participating in the event have registered food licences and or liquor licence and public liability insurance appropriate to their activities. Approve access to power and existing lighting for food and beverage vendors and entertainment. Approve the use of council's portable PA system. Approve the use of 100 portable council chairs and 15 tables to be delivered to the Big Rig car park prior to the starting time 5:30 p.m. and removed the following morning on Wednesday the 30th of June 2021. Approve the use of council's portable stage to be delivered to the Big Rig car park prior to the starting time 5:30 p.m. and removed the following morning on Wednesday the 30th of June 2021. Waive all fees and charges associated with the use of council's tables and chairs, stage and PA system. Grant permission to apply for a community liquor licence for the event. Approve a firework display on council-owned land described as Lot 2 on RP 170339 and Lot 82 on R8614, providing A, approval is also granted in writing for the Roma and District Junior Soccer Club Incorporated, the lessee of the land. B, all regulations and event organiser responsibilities outlined by the Department of Natural Resources and Mines are adhered to. And lastly, approve a higher fee waiver for the use of the Big Rig screen, providing A, the availability of staff to operate the equipment. B, all copyright laws are adhered to in screening any movies. And C, use of the venue does not interfere with the Big Rig night show sunset experience.
Okay, do I have a seconder, please? Yeah, you're right. Go ahead, Rob. Director Rob.
Yeah, I just spoke to the James Steph from the Junior Rugby League, who's put in a request there. Just to clarify, yes, which of the two ovals would you be using? Because the report does specify the two lots. Obviously, soccer has involvement with both those lots anyway. He said, well, actually, he said, since we put that letter in, we were going to approach the cricket club because the pyrotechnics guy said that would be a better spot for it because you're not having to get the fireworks over the top of the trees there. I said, well, look, we would actually be, if that was the case, you'd have to actually get permission from the cricket club. So this is only just a few minutes ago. He said, well, actually, I'm on the cricket club, but we could grant that. I said, I'd come to the table there. I said, we can put that third lot in with the same condition they seek permission from the cricket club. That way, if they do get permission, I don't have to bring it back a third time. But I do have the lot and plan number here, councillors. I thought we could add that in as that point there. So this only just came a few moments ago. But so it's lot 205 on WV 1175. And also that approval will also be granted in writing from the Roma and Junior Cricket Club.
I'm happy with that addition.
Excuse me. Deputy, look, I might have a conflict here. I've just thought about it.
Which part?
Yeah, the Roma District, I'm just not sure of the nature. Roma District Junior Soccer Club, Inc. I think I better,
Why do you think?
They really got nothing
yeah,
to
no,
do with the
sorry,
grounds.
yeah, no, I've helped with collating some figures for it, just recently, so, I'm pretty sure that's
For this event?
I'm pretty sure that's the one, no.
For the event or just for the soccer?
No, just for the Roman District Junior Soccer Club, Inc. With the
soccer
firm.
club's got nothing to do with those grounds, though, Mark.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just, sorry, I just
Nothing to
thought
do with
about
them,
that.
There is a letter there that they have found us on, in the report there,
Yeah.
councillors, there, that just to clarify that, there is a letter, and it goes back just prior to the amalgamation of the Roma Town days there, but it's referenced on page 57 there, lot 2.
Yeah,
There is
okay.
correspondence between Roma and District Junior Soccer and Roma Town Council from the 22nd of the 8th, 2007. So
Can I just,
they probably haven't been using it, but there was Roma Town approval for them to use it, but I don't think that option's been taken up by them, but there is correspondence there.
I think I better do something out of caution, I think I,
Nothing to do with this event, has it?
a bit of a long stretch, I suppose, but,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just, so just to put you in the picture, so you collated some figures and sent them away to be audited for that. So that's probably declarable, I'd say. So I might have to do a declarable.
So you're their auditor? Is that just?
No, I'm not. No, I just collated some figures and sent them to an auditor. But
On their behalf, like on the soccer club's behalf?
Yes, yeah. So
In a voluntary
just
manner.
helping out. Yeah, that's all.
Involuntary?
Voluntary. Sorry.
And not,
Yeah.
and not on their committee?
Committee?
You're on the committee of
no.
soccer?
Just donated your time to do the figures?
I wouldn't say anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But it's entirely up to the
Oh,
councillor.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just do a declarable. Sorry about this. Just hold things up a bit more.
Did you want to have us vote for you and make a decision for you?
Sorry.
Do you want to ask?
Yeah, no, I'll do it. I'll do it correctly. Yeah. So I'd like to declare a conflict. Item L2, description, Roman District Junior Rugby League Carnival request for support. Declaring Councillor Mark Edwards, person with the interest is myself. Particularly the interest, I volunteered to send information away for audit on behalf of the Roman District Junior Soccer Club, Inc., who are mentioned in the report. Yeah. As a result of this, I'll be declaring a declarable conflict of interest, but would wish to stay in the room and be part of the discussions, and I'll rely on the other councillors to vote upon it.
Okay, so do we have somebody to move that, please? Councillor Guthrie?
I'd like to move that it is in the public interest that Councillor Mark Edwards participates and votes on agenda item L2 because a reasonable person would trust that the final decision was made in the public interest.
Councillor Ladbrokes to second. Any opposition to the motion? Anyone want to speak about it? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? 7, that's right. 7. Yeah, 7's right. 7-0, thank you.
You need a seconder for you're up to.
Oh, yeah, go back to the original motion. So Councillor O'Neill, you moved.
Did move.
Councillor Hancock to second.
Yeah, I'd just like to add a point, if the mover is happy, and then I'm happy to second it. Just that council be acknowledged in all event advertising.
I should have added that
Yeah,
on, but yeah, I'm more than happy with that.
All good? Everyone's happy with that? Okay, we've got a mover and a second. Is there any opposition to the motion, or anyone want to speak to it?
Parity, that vote before should have been 6-0, not 7-0, because the Councillor Edwards wouldn't have voted for
Oh,
himself.
that's, sorry, yeah, thanks. We got that, Kel, did you? Thank you. No opposition to the motion. Anyone wish to speak for or against? All those in favour? Was I too quick? So it's 7-0 now.
Also, I'd like to have said, Ms. Chair, was that, you know, it's wonderful these events actually bring so much economic development to our regions.
Okay, thank you. The last one, is it?
There's nothing left, is there, Kel?
That's it.
I wonder if the mayor coming back. If he's not there, I'll... Oh, well, even though that, we'll just... No other correspondence, I'll declare the meeting closed.
Thanks very much.